Should I just go say it? Honestly, I got nothing else better to do. I may as well just start now before people just lose interest. Precure is a franchise that I wanted to like. And I get that. The series is more consistent in quality when it comes to anything Toei Animation puts out, unless you name Mitsuru Aoyama, of course. And it seems to now have gained a cult following in the States due to Crunchyroll's deal with Toei. Well, if you ask me, I'd easily gravitate more towards Mashal if I'm being honest. Not that the show is bad or anything, they're produced in 2 different time periods by 2 different studios. But I don't want to be the man doing this kind of stuff if the show is only going to drive me mental trying to track down everybody who's done it. Well, you see, the only reason why I watch the show is to be able to track down the animators on the show in order to better understand their methods in animating fight scenes. During this era and for the first 2 seasons, you basically had names on board such as Naoto Shishida, obvious though he is a little harder to spot here, and Yoshikatsu Tomita, the default go-to art style for consistency. But then there's Tatsuo Yamada, who takes a largely different approach. Yamada is often overlooked in the anime space, but he does have a lengthy resume on Yu Yu Hakusho for Studio Byoto and Street Fighter 2-5 for Group TAC. He has a way of animating special effects here to make them more impactful, while showing a very solid foundation for fluidity, by going completely off the models and taking notes from Norio Matsumoto. For that, we resort to episode 11 of MaxHeart, Shining Luminous vs. Electrical Transformer Tower. This is coming off of episode 10, where I assume this moment was done by Takehiro Fuji with the fights, similar to his work on Heartcatch a few years later. Here, Yamada handles the entire fight. Of course, people already got a whiff of how Yamada animates fight scenes, and I could have easily picked any other options. He mainly eradicates details and goes for an off-model simplified look to his worth, while amping up the fluidity of how a character moves across the scene. Episode 11 is where he takes those kind of principles even further, and it very much illustrates how he was able to handle such a fight scene in the first place. It made sense though. He had a resume spanning from Yu Yu Hakusho and Street Fighter 2-5 to stuff like Ninku, Durara, Frame of Reka, at one time, as well as Giant Robo. Now let's analyze the fight.
The chains are off!
Starts out fluidly with Luminous dodging said ETT Zakenas multiple times through the stomps. Notice the lack of shading as everything becomes the 2-to-1 color from far away shots here. It's reserved for far-off shots and he would apply normal shading for close-ups. Definitely a trick of his later work that comes to play whenever it's action-oriented or just made for character acting. He usually sticks to an almost sloppy, expressive style in favor of smooth movement. Kinda like the realist school of animation, or the flow school, as one might call it. Though there are some rather irregular frames, emulating the Kanada aspects in ways. For instance, Luminous lands at the ETT shoulder skills, briefly sticking the landing before cutting to 1 frame for when she leaps off the Zakena. Very loose, but it's entertaining to see in action. I mean, this frame is personally my favorite for how low effort it is, but it still makes the in-between work because of the fluidity of the motion in action. It's definitely held in higher regard than DBS episode 5 or God forbid Naruto Shippuden episode 167, but when done right, it works fine for how rubbery the motion feels. Anyway, when the Zakena slashes over, Luminous strikes up some looping frames to kicks to the face around here. The action is linked up by a single messy smear, but it gives a lot of character, and even obeys the principles of animation, such as landing a bit and emulating a bit of squash and stretch. There's some nice blows with the kicks to the face despite the animation itself being quite limited on 2s. But whoever did the storyboards seemed to have a pretty good grasp in order to handle the fight. And then Luminous gets struck by electricity, the other Cures show up and end it. There's some really nice frames that I enjoy here, the poses seem very smooth for what they're trying to convey. I still rather highlight Luminous versus ETT, but again, some really nice posing from the other Cures are presented, and the overall fight gives a very loose feel to how it's portrayed. This is just a really quick video I wanted to touch upon since I feel that Yamada's run on the first 2 Precure series is criminally underrated in my opinion. I also did this video to fill in the void left behind on You and Idol, but I would rather not touch upon it because I'm pretty sure Sony has a fire.
Alright, I quit!